Hi, this is Cindy Cherry Leon, and welcome to BTA Acting. To be or not to be? That is the question. You're wondering why I'm taking dialogue from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Well, this is to illustrate what we're going to be talking about today. One of the elements of acting is what we discussed a few weeks ago, and that is being. Now, this definition really stuck out for me. In the dictionary, being means the nature or essence of a person. Basically, it's saying who you are as that person. Now, as an actor, you're going to portray a character, but it's a little bit more than that. You're going to be that character.
You remind me of my father. I hated my father.
In this particular lesson, we're going to talk about being that character in an artificial circumstance, meaning in the context of the narrative or story. So there are many components that go into who a character is. The components are body, mind, personality, the outer shell. It's what that character looks like. Now, when you're creating or building a character, you want to put who you are aside to create that character. Now, you're not going to always be able to take 100% of yourself out. As a matter of fact, you probably never will. There are going to be aspects of yourself that you are going to take away in order to portray that character more truthfully. So let's take a look at one of this year's Oscar contenders, I, Tonya.
I didn't stay home making apple brown Bettys. No, I made you a champion. Knowing you'd hate me for it. That's the sacrifice a mother makes. I wish I'd had a mother like me instead of nice.
Now, in the movie, Allison Janney portrays Tonya Harding's mother. There needed to be a drastic change in Allison Janney's look, the way she acted, her personality, her gestures, her movement, and especially the way she looks. Now, acting is not for the vain.
That's right.
When you are in a character, you must be able to transform yourself, even to someone who might not be as glamorous as you would like. Your character transformation may also involve prosthetics, false teeth, wigs, drastic makeup.
You need to hang on to something, and sometimes it can be something as simple as a costume. I always go back to Wild at Heart. I had these teeth. They were everything. I put those teeth in my mouth, and it kept me from closing my mouth. I always had this expression, and I felt like I knew who the guy was, you know?
Now, inserting something as simple as dentures could be very effective in creating the character. That all goes into the outer shell. To be that character truthfully from the inside out, you have to look into the mind of who that person is. Again, when you're doing a biopic, it's necessary to do as much research on that person as possible. It would be a great idea if you have any video of that person to study that person's gestures, the way they walk, the way they talk. I'm going to use a term called the emotional makeup of a character.
Try routing your backup power source through your primary CPU.
I can't! My circuits are fried! They're fried, I tell you!
Everybody has emotions, but the way we express them, depending on who we are, is very different.
I'm the police. I run here. You just live here.
With the emotional makeup of your character, you want to explore how that character expresses themselves.
Oh, yeah, sure. With those things running around. You can count me out.
When they're angry, do they express themselves differently from the way you express anger? Are they more repressed about it, or are they very demonstrative about their anger?
Good God, give any mixed privileges before we learn. You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth.
Now, Winston Churchill was a real person, so Gary Oldman obviously had some template to go by. And the way he expressed his emotion had to deal with his age, his culture, his background. And then there's the personality. There are introverts, extroverts, leaders. There are people who are laid back, people who are more melancholy and analytical. All these things go into who your character is. And it's a great idea to explore those things so you would have a more believable character. It's great to have emotion, But what really brings the character to light is what's going on in the inside and in the mind of that character. So explore the outer shell of your character, what they look like. Of course, the outer shell is driven by what's going on the inside. Take a look at your dialogue, scene by scene, and see if the words are connecting to who that person is.
No, I won't leave you.
Don't worry about me. I'm a robot. I'm just a machine.
Words are forms of expressions. They're forms whether truthfully or not. Sometimes what we feel on the inside is not always what we're saying on the outside.
The feature that makes me such an effective hunter of the Jews is, as opposed to most German soldiers, I can think like a Jew, where they can only think like a German. More precisely, a German soldier.
Explore the text and read between the lines, the subtext, to see if your character is expressing those feelings or words truthfully.
I'll do it without you. I don't need you or anybody else. I'm gonna make it on my own.
Now, the nature of a person is the inner self, their thought life. So it's always a great idea to take these things into consideration: the background of that character, the culture of that character, the race of that character. Now remember, as an actor, you have to stay within the boundaries of the story, but it does give you a little wiggle room to create a character that will bring life to the story.
I will take you down to hell with me.
Now, there are a lot of acting techniques out there, and you have to decide which ones work best for you. There are some techniques that involve you draining yourself emotionally and giving 110% in being that character. Even when the camera stops rolling, some actors still are in that character.
Yes, sir. Yeah, get some crawfish and some ribs. Yeah. You're Australian. Be Australian.
Now, there can be a cost to pay for that. And you have to ask yourself, do I need to go that deep? Or is it just as effective in using some of the other techniques, such as Meisner, in reaction, action, and listening? Or Stella Adler, who embraces a combination of these techniques.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
What?
Now, in the coming weeks, we're going to explore some of those techniques and how it can be effective in being that character in the context of the story. So why don't you leave your comments below on some characters that you would love to portray but have not had the opportunity yet, or some characters that you have been that were extremely difficult because it went against the very grain of who you are. This is Cindy Cherry Leon, and this is BTA Acting. See you next week.